Some of you may be familiar with Hamlet and modern interpretations of Hamlet. Oh, he is the tragic romantic hero. Poor Hamlet, he cannot make his mind up. You very, very rarely hear people talking about the fact that Hamlet is the aspiring prince of Denmark. He has been displaced by his uncle. He therefore has a political obligation to reclaim the throne of Denmark. But he does not. He prevaricates. He hesitates. This is a political dimension that we don't mention in the modern era because we like the idea of the romantic hero. Now, is this nostalgia for ancient Greece? Am I suggesting that the Greeks had a handle on the way that history is, the way that experience is? Yes, but it's not nostalgia. It's a reminder of what has been displaced, distorted, or deliberately lost. Old material that needs to be reintroduced and added to all that is timely in Steinbeck in the face of the oncoming storm. 5 reasons why The Grapes of Wrath is not a timeless classic. The first one, terror.
5 years after our nation was attacked, the terrorist danger remains. We're a nation at war. And America and our allies are fighting this war with relentless determination across the world. Together with our coalition partners, we've removed terrorist sanctuaries, disrupted their finances, killed and captured key operatives, broken up terrorist cells in America and other nations. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists, the terrorists, the terrorists, the terrorists, the terrorists.
In Oedipus Rex, there are 2 types of terror. The first terror is the terror of knowing. The fact that Oedipus feels that there is something that is wrong, that there is something at the center of his knowledge that is not right, and his fear that this may be something that will affect him. It's a form of terror mentioned. It's a fear of knowledge. The method is hearing. Mustafa.
Oedipus is beside himself, walked with anguish, no longer a man of sense. He won't admit the latest prophecies are hollow as the old. He's at the mercy of every passing voice if the voice tells of terror. I urge him gently. Nothing seems to help. So I turn to you, Apollo. You are nearest.
Thanks, Mustafa. He's at the mercy of every passing voice that speaks of terror. Incidentally, the handout that I gave you, these various different quotations, they appear on the handout, and I should let you know. So that was number 2 as we move on. Okay? The next one will be number 3. This is a different type of terror. This is the terror of being. The second form of terror is upon seeing the effects of knowledge and violence. When others experience Oedipus' pain, specifically the chorus speaks, because they see that Oedipus has blinded himself. They know that he now knows the terrible secret. So there is a witness to his terror. Siva.
Oh, the terror, the suffering for all the world to see, the worst terror that ever met my eyes. What madness swept over you? What God, what dark power led beyond all bounds, beyond belief to crush your wretched life? God forsaken, cursed by the gods, I pity you, but I can't bear to look. I shudder at the sight. Oh, the terror.
Aristotle in the Poetics defines a key characteristic of tragedy is the notion of catharsis, that catharsis produces pity and fear. Anyone want to take that up? No? Yeah.
The one right after?
No, just to describe the notion of catharsis, what pity and fear is, who the pity is for.
I'm not sure.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Anyone help her out? Siva.
The notion of catharsis is the pity that accompanies the possibility of being in the position of the person suffering. Is it not?
Exactly so. To empathize with the person suffering, to pity them because they find themselves in that situation, and to feel the fear that similar circumstances, you too could find yourself in that situation. In other words, to know what it feels like. Aristotle argues that through catharsis, society knows itself, each other, and all. Similarly, in the Odyssey, Odysseus knows the meaning of hunger. Tarek.
Stones and blows and I are hardly strangers. My heart is steeled by now. I've had my share of pain in the waves and wars. Add this to the total. Bring the trial on. But there's no way to hide the belly's hungers. What a curse. What mischief it brews in all our lives. Just for hunger we rig and ride our long bent ships on the barren salt sea, speeding death to enemies.
Thank you. The idea of hunger to be driven by the need of self-preservation, to be driven by hunger to the point of having to murder somebody else. This is number 5 on the quotations. The moment in The Grapes of Wrath when the stranded community, having arrived in California, realizing that there is no jobs, that there is no salvation, that there is thousands of them, and there is no food. Samira.
And gradually the greatest terror of all came along. In the barns the people sat huddled together, and the terror came over them, and their faces were grey with terror. The children cried with hunger, and there was no food. Then the sickness came, pneumonia.
This is not hearing of terror. This is feeling terror. It is terror weightier than the word in our time. How do we as a society lose the feeling of terror, the empathy for a terror born of lack of food? Thomas Malthus obviously never felt the terror. An essay on the principle of population released in 1826. Some quotations. Sarah.
The power of population is indefinitely greater than the power in the earth to produce subsistence for man. And also, the constant effort towards population, which is found even in the most vicious societies, increases the number of people before the means of subsistence are increased.
Okay. So basically that at a fundamental level, the power of population will always outweigh the resources that are available, that there will be famine as a result of the size of population. Now, Frederick Engels called Malthus's hypothesis, I quote, the crudest, most barbarous theory that ever existed, a system of despair which struck down all those beautiful phrases about love thy neighbour and world citizenship. Yeah, okay, so beautiful phrases are all well and good as beautiful phrases, but are they just beautiful phrases? More pointedly, in the Marxist tradition, Lenin sharply criticised Malthusian theory, calling it a reactionary doctrine, an attempt on the part of bourgeois ideologists to exonerate capitalism and to prove the inevitability of privation and misery for the working class under any social system. In other words, that there's an avoidance of the awareness of subject position, that Malthus was quite comfortably well off.